Hello, hello. Give you a moment to get on. While you're doing that, I am going to share this out to a few places after I turn this sound off. Okay, I don't know what happened there. Good morning, good morning. Let me know who you are and where you're from. And if you're watching this recording, you can skip ahead about a minute and a half or so to get to the content. And we're going to get going. All right. I'm going to share this and then we'll get going. Ooh, I'm moving slow. Hello, good morning, good morning. I had a brain cramp, but my mind is right now. Oh my gosh, okay. I am, all right, inviting a few people and then we're gonna get going. All right, one more and then we're gonna get started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Okay, I'm going to be quiet and just stick with what I do. Let's get it started in here. Okay. All right. So first, I want to welcome you. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady. I help home business owners win the tax game by keeping more of the money that you earn and paying less to Uncle Sam in taxes. Okay, so I'm going to get to this topic. I tried to do it yesterday. The sound was absolutely horrendous because I had my lawn crew here. It was so bad. So I apologize for that. Thank you for everyone that decided to come back again today. Okay. You know, it happens. They're not here now. All right. So, answering the question, can I sue my tax preparer? All right. So there's always a story behind some of these topics. What's happened is, I'm very appreciative. Let me say this. I'm very appreciative to my audience for, number one, listening and also sharing my content. But what's happening is that the more of the content gets shared, a lot of questions come back to me and people are kind of hot because their tax preparer hasn't told them this or done that or whatever. And so some people are kind of upset. Which is fair. But let me say this. First of all, no tax professional, no tax preparer is perfect. Will people make mistakes? Absolutely. But, there's a difference between a mistake and just straight out foolishness. Okay. So let's talk about the different types of tax preparers. There's two types of tax preparers. Okay. There's a tax professional. Tax professional is somebody that you're going to see year round. You're going to be able to call them year round. They're a student of the game. They have take continuing education. They're continually making themselves smarter. And then there is somebody that just does taxes. And this is why I say just does taxes. They are not really a student of the game. They go and take a test one time and some of them might not even take a test. Okay. At least when you go to a tax franchise, for instance, the people that are doing your taxes there have at least taken some level of a competency test to be able to do your taxes. Okay. But again, some of those people, you find them from January-ish to April 15th or whatever the deadline is that year. And after that, you can't find them anymore until after the tax season. I've seen grocery stores to do taxes. I've seen car dealerships do taxes. Everybody does taxes during tax time. Okay. And I also wanted to say too, if it's just you and your W-2, you really should not be paying anybody to do your taxes. That is something that you can totally do yourself. You can file your taxes for free. Will I do that for you? Absolutely. But I'm telling you, as a tax professional, if it's just you and your W-2, you really shouldn't be paying anybody to do your taxes. You should be able to do that yourself. You can get you some TurboTax, or there are free file, I do believe it's called, which is the IRS. You can do that for them. And there is an income limit, but for the most part, you can do it yourself. Okay. Now, most tax preparers are really trustworthy. Okay. They do your taxes, they do their jobs, and that's what they do. But you often have some unscrupulous tax preparers, okay? And this is what I warn against. This is why I say in my Tax Players Club, one of the statements on our manifesto is that we do not blindly trust our tax lives into the hands of others. Even for me, I don't even allow my clients to blindly trust me. I'm going to show them what's on their return. Okay. So when you're talking about suing a tax preparer, that's the first thing that's on you, is to make sure that you understand what is in your tax return. Because when you sign your tax return, you are saying under penalty of perjury that everything in this tax return is true and correct. If you don't know what your tax preparer has done in your taxes, then you are already lying. Okay. So if you choose to remain ignorant about your taxes, that is something that is on you. Okay. Now, can you sue your tax preparer? Yes, you can. This is America. I found out in college when the lady sued McDonald's for the coffee being too hot and won, that you can sue for just about anything. But when do you really have cause to sue? All right. So first of all, let's talk about some tax preparer misconduct type of things, which is embezzling your refund, which is preparing fraudulent stuff, filing without your consent, claiming false exemptions, false expenses. That's the biggest thing. Incorrect filing status. And so, so the first thing that you want to do, good morning, Queen Esther. Thank you so much for joining me. Hello for everybody that popped on. I certainly do appreciate it. Make sure you share this out, guys. All right. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to file a complaint with the IRS. Okay. Because the IRS has really been trying to basically rein the profession in, to keep fly-by-night people from preparing people's taxes and just doing wild and crazy stuff, okay? But the truth is that you really can't do it, because every person is allowed to prepare their own taxes, and whoever you get to help you, that's up to you, okay? So you can file a complaint with the IRS. Now, that person, when you complain to the IRS about this person doing your taxes, listen, they investigate their stuff. They take it very, very seriously, because what happens is, especially when you have fraud, you're costing the government as well as you're costing the taxpayer themselves. So yeah, you can complain, and it's called, and here's a form number for you, just in case. It's a 14157. It's a complaint against a tax preparer. And that's just something that has to do with your refund. So let me give you a real world scenario. I had a client come into me. He received a mail audit. Mail audit is when an IRS sends you a letter and says, hey, we would like more information, or for you to provide documentation to substantiate this claim on your return. Now, some of one of the biggest places of fraud is the Schedule C, okay? This is why it's so important for home business owners to make sure your documentation is tight, because there's so many instances of fraud. I can give you, if you're in my Tax Players Club, you would see that I share these cases of where tax professionals are going to jail. And these aren't really tax professionals. These are people that just do taxes, okay? They are going to jail because they are filing fraudulent Schedule Cs for people in order for their clients to get a bigger refund. And they're also charging them for this. And what's happening is, on the client end, only thing they're seeing is that, woo, I'm getting this huge refund, not really understanding that the refund that they're getting is fraudulent. And when they get And when all of that comes to light, they're going to have to pay that money back. Okay. When I say pay that money back, we're going to be paying that money back. And if you happen to originally have owed on your taxes, then you're going to have to pay not only the refund that you got, but also the tax liability, as well as the penalties and the interest that come along with it from the time that the tax return was due. So it can really cost you a lot of money. Okay. Because what happens is people try to pay as little as possible to get their taxes done, which, I get it, right? You're like, why do I have to pay this person to do my taxes and then I got to pay the IRS? Well, because the flip side of that is if you don't pay a reputable person to do your taxes and you don't understand them yourself, you're going to have to pay with the pay money back if you get some unscrupulous person, and then pay penalties and interest. So the question is, do you pay a little bit now or you pay a whole bunch later? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. Now, there are other reasons that you can really report your tax preparer. And this is when you know that you're dealing with somebody shady. If they refuse to sign your tax return, if you pay somebody to do your taxes and they don't sign your tax return, that's a no-go at this station, okay? If you are preparing taxes for a fee, you must have a preparer tax ID number, okay? That's how the IRS keeps track of people. All right. And so if that person refuses to provide their preparer tax ID number, they refuse to sign your tax return, you can complain to the IRS, because if you're paying them, and then you'll find out if they really are even allowed. There's a lady that's going to jail now. There's a lady that's going to jail now because she had been barred from preparing tax returns, but she was still preparing tax returns and just not signing them. And somehow the IRS caught up with her and now she's going to jail. Okay, so when you go to get your taxes done, when you go to tax franchises, they will, you'll give them your documents and you might not like the number that comes up with the price, okay? And you might ask for your documents back. They are required to give you your documentation back, your W-2 and all of that. They cannot hold your documentation hostage. Now, they don't have to give you their work, the tax return that they've prepared for you, but they have to give you the documentation back to you, okay? Let's see. Yeah, you can't hold your documentation hostage until you pay a fee. That's illegal. You cannot listen. If your tax preparer is trying to use some TurboTax to prepare your taxes for a fee, no, you cannot do that. That is against the law. The TurboTax, the free file, those are for individual use, not for a commercial use. There is commercial software for that. If people claim falsely to be an enrolled agent or CPA, or you can report these things. Yes, Stephanie said yes, because people will report you. But here's the thing, you guys. The main takeaway from this is that you need to be cognizant. You cannot go to sleep at the wheel and just blindly, allow people to do your taxes, because a lot of times you really just don't know who you're dealing with. Okay, let's just be honest. But for my clients, I'm going to explain to you what's in your return, because you need to know. Because here's the deal. Regardless of what happens, if you get some money back that you are not entitled to, the tax preparer is not going to have to pay that back. You, the taxpayer, are going to have to pay that back. The tax preparer might get fined or something, but you are the one that's going to have to pay the money back. Okay. You are the one who's signing the tax return, saying that everything in here is true and correct. If you don't know what's in the tax return, how can you say, yeah, it's true and correct? Your tax preparer can only prepare your taxes based on the documentation you provide. Okay. Let me say that again. The documentation you provide. So if you don't provide documentation to substantiate a business, then your tax preparer should not be, adding a Schedule C to your taxes if you haven't provided the documentation. If you can't provide documentation to support that you should be filing head of household, then guess what? They shouldn't prepare your taxes that way. And I don't. Like if you can't give me something to substantiate that you have, to substantiate your filing status, I'm not doing it. And I know a lot of tax professionals that say, well, if I don't do it, somebody else will do it. I'm with let somebody else do it because I like what I do. And I'm not trying to have the IRS come for me over some foolishness that you did. Okay. So, but that's your tax professional's job, is to prepare your taxes based on the documentation you provide. It is not our job to go loop and swoop some numbers so that you can get a larger tax refund. That's not how it works. If you've got the documentation to substantiate that, then absolutely. But if you don't come for me, because I'm not going to do it. It's illegal. Okay. I've seen it happen so many times. Let me tell you, I had this client come to me, and and what happens is we get the street committee tax advice, right? So I had a client come to me. He wanted to file head of household. I'm saying, okay, great. I'm looking for information, and come to find out, he said, okay, well, my wife came here and she filed her taxes, head of household. Like, you're still married? Yes. And you live in the same house? Yes. You can't file head of household. And he was very angry with me, but he left, came back 2 months later. Now they got to refile. Why? Because listen, their daughter was applying for financial aid at school. Financial aid said, listen, your tax returns are not filed properly. You're going to have to go back and amend these taxes before we would even look at your financial aid. So your taxes are tied to so many things that it's unbelievable. Did you also know that and I think this is as of December 2015 with the PATH Act, that if you owe $50,000 in taxes or more, you can't renew your passport. And you might be thinking, my passport? Yeah, your passport. When you look at your when you go apply for a job, they have column A and B or C, where you can have one passport and you got to have two other forms of documentation. Okay, your passport, listen, passports are a privilege. Okay, so your taxes are tied to so many things, any type of, like I said, student loan debt, child support, alimony, any kind of state debt. Your taxes are tied to all of that. And you have to be in good standing with the IRS in order for you, if you happen to have tax liability, if you're not in good standing with the IRS and have not filed all of your returns correctly, they are not going to work with you until you have fixed it. Okay. And if you are if you've been going to what I call Ray Ray's Chop Shop, you go to Ray Ray's Chop Shop and get your taxes done, and your taxes are not done correctly, you're going to have to pay more money to get it done right. So this is why I keep telling you, build a relationship with a tax professional. Somebody's going to get to know you, know your family, that's going to be working for you. Okay. I had so many people who did your taxes last year. They have no clue who did their taxes. Don't even know their names. And that is just a no. All right. So if you take anything away from this, get to know your tax preparer. Ask them about continuing education. Have you taken a tax class lately? If you got people that aren't even, there's so much free stuff out here to get updates on taxes. There is absolutely no reason a professional should not be up on the changes in the tax law if they are a professional. Now, somebody that just does taxes, they don't know. They just go punch some numbers in and spit it out, and there you go. Okay. So yeah. So the takeaways from this is that, number one, you are ultimately responsible for your tax life, your tax return, and whatever's in it. You are ultimately responsible. Number two, get to know your tax preparer. Really get to know them, know what their background is, their education, and all of that. You need people that know stuff, right? And that know the rules. You got to know the rules in order to win the tax game. This is what I preach. Know the rules. And, and on top of that, stop going to, look, if you go to the grocery store to get your taxes done, I'm going to need for you to stop. If you go to the car dealership to get your taxes done, I'm going to need for you to stop. Just don't do it. Okay. So that's it for me, you guys. So yeah, ultimately you can sue your tax preparer if they have done something fraudulently that you really did not know about. But other than that, dude, this is your responsibility. Okay. That's it. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I certainly do appreciate you being here. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my notifications. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so very much. I appreciate you being here. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.